is on the verge of hitting a significant milestone. While President Traore has done so much to destroy French imperialist influence over Burkina Faso, the issue of the CFA franc still remains. This colonial relic has for decades stunted the financial and monetary independence of Francophone Africa. However, recent news indicates that Traore is on the verge of achieving true monetary independence for Burkina Faso. In a recent report, Burkina Faso is in the process of creating a new currency, which they have named CIRA. Unlike the CFA franc, CIRA will be fully controlled by the Burkinabe authorities. But will this currency be able to successfully replace the CFA franc? Let's find out. In an interview in February 2024, the president of Burkina Faso said something very striking that shows that he is a man on a mission to transform Burkina Faso. He said, "Perhaps everything we've done has surprised you, hasn't it? Don't worry, more changes are coming that might still surprise you. We will break every tie that has kept us in slavery." What an iconic statement. Traore's statement proves that all that he has done since assuming power in Burkina Faso was planned, and none of those actions were made on impulse. His statement is a slap to the face of those people who say that because he is a military man, he doesn't know what he is doing and cannot rule a country. As the captain has said, everything they have done has certainly surprised the world, especially the West. And now they are about to surprise the West, especially France, with another move, the creation of a new currency. Captain Traore says the plan is to break all ties that have kept the country in slavery, and we can all agree that the CFA franc, the currency that is currently being used by 14 African countries including Burkina Faso, is something that has kept these nations in slavery. But now Traore, together with the leaders of Mali and Niger, is forging a new path that will free them from the constraints imposed by foreign interests. In this light, Traore is taking significant steps towards establishing the Burkinabe's new currency, CIRA. One such step that has been taken towards the establishment of the currency was the establishment of the Burkinabe Treasury Deposit Bank. You see, unlike other African countries that have central banks which regulate the monetary system of the country, Francophone African countries don't have central banks. What exists is the Central Bank of West African States, which operates as an extension of the Bank of France. So, the situation was, Francophone Africa couldn't print or issue currency, they couldn't control monetary policy without approval from France, and they had to keep half of their money reserves with France. Like General Tiani once said, "Money is a sign of sovereignty, and we are engaged in a process of recovering our total sovereignty. It is no longer a question of our states being the cash cow of France." So, Traore's establishment of a treasury deposit bank is a fantastic move because Burkina Faso will no longer have to depend on the Central Bank of West African State, which is a colonial relic, to store its reserves or regulate its monetary and financial system. With this treasury deposit, Burkina Faso will no longer have to deposit 50% of its reserves in a French bank. Additionally, the Treasury Bank is designed to provide accessible banking services to all citizens, with a network extending through regional, provincial, and departmental treasuries to ensure that everyone, regardless of location, can access these services. But that's not all. The Treasury Deposit Bank will also cater to a wider range of clients, including public institutions, state companies, local authorities, international organizations, NGOs, and private businesses. Its primary mission will be to manage the banking functions of the public treasury, offering services like account management, resources collection, and transaction processing. The establishment of the Treasury Deposit Bank empowers Burkina Faso to conduct financial transactions independently, bypassing the need to go through the Central Bank of West African State, thereby eliminating any potential interference from France. As you can see, this initiative sets the stage for the eventual elimination of the CFA franc. While the new currency CIRA is still being created, there is no doubt that Burkina Faso has entered a new stage of monetary independence. Unlike the CFA franc, the CIRA will be fully controlled by Burkina Faso, allowing the country to set its own monetary policies, regulate inflation, and promote local industries without external influence. To support this shift, the Treasury Deposit Bank will safeguard the country's financial reserves, eliminating the requirement to deposit funds in French-controlled banks. In addition to the Treasury Deposit Bank, the authorities in Burkina Faso also have plans of backing the currency with gold. This is why in recent times President Traore has taken significant steps towards controlling the country's gold resources, which had been left in the hands of terrorists and Western companies. Not only did he ban the export of gold, he also created a gold mining refinery and a waste processing facility. These gold refining and processing facilities represent a significant step in securing its economic future, enabling the country to retain more of its wealth within its borders and reduce the illicit flow of gold that has been funding violence and instability. The refinery also ensures that Burkina Faso can build its gold reserves, which will be necessary in the long run when it's ready to ditch the CFA franc and launch its own currency. According to recent reports, there are also plans being made by the authorities in Burkina Faso to make several innovations to the 2015 mining code updated in July 2023. One such innovation is the plan to establish a national gold reserves. According to the information from the Council of Ministers meeting held on March 20, 2024, Burkina Faso plans to ask mining companies to contribute to building the National Gold Reserve. The revised mining code also includes new regulations for marketing gold and other minerals aimed at creating a more structured and regulated industry. So, not only are gold exports banned, companies, including those foreign ones, are expected to contribute gold to build the National Gold Reserves. Now here is where it gets interesting. Burkina Faso has started to produce its own gold bars. The gold bars were produced from processing mining residues known as fine coal, previously abandoned at the Essakane mine. Fine coal is the leftover material after the extraction of gold, which still contains a considerable amount of gold. The Burkinabe waste plant was able to process the fine coal to produce about 44 gold bars weighing 93.197 kilograms, which was handed to the Economy Ministry. This is brilliant. Indeed, Burkina Faso is making tremendous progress. So instead of the CFA franc, which is backed by the euro, the CIRA will be backed by gold produced and stored in Burkina Faso's Treasury Deposit Bank. What is happening right now is a monumental shift in Burkina Faso's financial independence. You see, no other African country has been able to achieve what Burkina Faso is on the verge of achieving right now. For decades, Francophone countries have been using the CFA franc, created on the 26th of December 1945 by a decree of General de Gaulle. It is a colonial currency, born of France's need to foster economic integration among the colonies under its administration, and thus control their resources, economic structures, and political systems. This currency is currently being used by Benin, Burkina Faso, Guinea-Bissau, Ivory Coast, Mali, Niger, Senegal, and Togo in West Africa, and Cameroon, Central African Republic, Chad, Congo-Brazzaville, Equatorial Guinea, and Gabon in Central Africa. France used this currency to maintain significant economic and political influence over Africa because it had control over the currency's convertibility and monetary policy. This means that with the aid of the CFA franc, France could manipulate the money supply, interest rates, and currency valuation across Francophone Africa all the way from Paris. In addition to this, France also controlled the money reserve of Francophone Africa because Francophone Africa was required to at first put 100% of their money reserve in France's bank. Later on, it changed to 70%, and it is currently 50%. So the situation was, Francophone Africa couldn't print or issue currency, they couldn't control monetary policy without approval from France, and they had to keep half of their money reserves with France. For decades, the use of CFA franc by African countries which are supposed to be independent has been heavily criticized, but France has repeatedly defended the currency, saying that it was necessary to promote monetary stability, facilitate economic integration, and enhance overall economic performance. Supporters of the CFA franc also argue that the currency is a useful buffer against inflation because it is pegged to the euro. However, according to Senegalese economist Ndongo Sambasila, who is head of research and policy for Africa at International Development Economics Associates, the CFA was created not for the benefit of African states, but for France to protect itself against the rise of the United States dollar. Burkina